Hi, hi. I'm just going to continue doing some commentary and some insightful links or connections that might be involved in what this Dorothy Bain's been up to. So you'll know, well, with all these videos that have been going up online, and her tenure of appointments coming to an end, I think. Um, and that'll be on the back of Nicola Sturgeon's ex-husband. And honestly, please believe me, the commentary I'm going to do in this is about the Sisterhood. The Sisterhood, and she had Nicola's back, and that Ruth Charis, KC, and various other people that I'm going to give you food for thought to think about maybe what's going on here, and what has been operational for years. Now, you just have to look at some of these videos. Honestly, it was really an embarrassment to be a Scottish, I don't like to say the word citizen because that's really corporate stuff, but to be a member of society in Scotland, to look at her performance in Parliament, it was embarrassing. To be head of the Crown prosecution, she was standing, shaking with a black folder. And she might have got her answers for her husband, Alan Turnbull, who she's married to, who is interestingly been involved in, high profile cases. Luke Mitchell, the Jodie Jones case, Nat Fraser, who, very interesting case that, if you go and watch the commentary and the videos of the whole thing leading up to his conviction. And also he was involved with the Lockerbie stuff, just look at maybe deeper what's going on here. But maybe she got her black folder answers for her husband, or maybe it was AI. Who knows? Who knows? It's just, imagine having to refer to a folder if you're the Lord Advocate, you know. It wouldn't give you very great confidence standing up in court and giving submissions, and you're looking at a black folder, you know. A confident KC, her standing and head of the Crown prosecution, would be able to do that from memory, you know. Anyway, getting on. So we got some stuff sent to us from that was put up on our site from Roger Livermore, who's been, instrumental, a man of honour, who's been at this for years to try and get her held to account. That was in 2024. This was commented in the Scottish Daily Express about a role. Roger has been very instrumental in the COVID deaths and what's going on in the maternity. There's Roger there. I mean, he's an ex-prosecutor himself. A man, maybe in his 70s. I've met him a few times, had quite decent chats with him. And a man who maybe wants to sit and look out to sea and do cruises or fishing in his retirement and look at what he's campaigned for years and years and years. So getting back to the report that he sent us through the week, and I'll get the AI to read a wee bit of it, and then I'll link it up there because it is quite interesting to see what that Lord Advocate is getting.
Police investigation. Lord Advocate Right Honourable Dorothy Bain KC and Scottish First Minister Right Honourable John Swinney MSP. Crime reference PS 20250706-1206. FAO Chief Constable Joe Farrell and Advocate General for Scotland Baroness Smith of Cluny KC. Dear Chief Constable, Advocate General for Scotland, all. 1. 2. ASAP NHS is required to file a follow-up to our crime report of July 4, 2025 at Livingston Police Station. See attached crime report, Docs 1 and 2. This was against the SNP Government Minister Lord Advocate Bain, Solicitor General Charteris, and the head of their government SFM Swinney. The offences were for Scottish ministers constantly interfering with what must be independent of government judicial processes, e.g. by ECHR, HRA 1998, CRA 2005, JCSA 2008, PFRS 2012, etc., etc. As we pointed out at the time, the matter was required to be referred to an external police force and to an independent special prosecutor. Has it been? The handling of the crime report requires its own criminal investigation by an external police force or by the National Crime Agency. What communications and involvement was there with Police Scotland and the Scottish Government Bain, Solicitor General Charteris, Crown Agent, John Logan Deputies, Coffs and SFM Swinney? At what stage is the independent criminal investigation? Into SNP ministers Bain, Charteris, Swinney, and others in the Scottish Government? After an initial visit from a detective constable, July 22nd, 2025, to ASAP NHS, it appears that the investigation into an unprecedented major crime has been blocked by Chief Constable Farrell. This with or without the interference by the ministers and their government department COPFS. Especially as Police Scotland were a victim of the major crime, we pointed out that the crime report must be investigated by an external police force. In this case, the Scottish prosecution system is the offender. It also has to go to an external, special, prosecutor. What has happened to it?
And I'll leave it there, people, but we'll link that up. And this is Roger that sent us this, and this is about the COVID deaths and what's going on in these maternity hospitals in Scotland and baby deaths. And he's been at it for years, and this is his organisation up here, Action for Safe and Accountable People, NHS. And he's been at it for years, and really quite concerned about things that are going on with this Bain and the government and things. And this landed on their desk a couple of years ago and nothing is being done, So maybe that's another black folder or a red folder to shake from and address Parliament. But there's Roger's titles there, He was HM Principal Inspector, 8 titles, Crown Prosecutor, and Regular of Policy Forces under the Police Health and Safety Act. Very, very intelligent man. A man of honour, and trying to get some address on what happened during these COVID deaths and these maternity baby deaths, So, this week, Dorothy Bain, as she gets about her daily business, she was addressing, the Sisterhood. The Lord Advocate hails domestic abuser's landmark conviction for culpable homicide. Interestingly, on the 6th again in March. I don't think she was reading for a black folder then. I think it was a screen, as you can see. There she's there. There's a TV and there's a Sisterhood all in there, And this was an event. I've been to one of these events and it's just pathetic. It was International Women's Day, Women in Law. I wonder if they have an International Men's Day for men in law, People didn't understand the actual connection, and just go and look at Easter and Star and Women, that is another branch of Freemasonry for women, and just go and look at that and just see where the dots check up and things, and all these wee things that look great, and their charitable bases, setting up these days, and the money's going to charity and that. What are they truly funding? What are they funding? And what is the underlying current behind it, Now, this poor lady died as a result of this man, her husband, coercing her, and she committed suicide. But honestly, and they're trying to hail Bain about, she must have had, different folders that day when she was, getting hailed for her, this man being found a culpable homicide and domestic abuse offences, Now, this, I feel total sympathy for that lady and her family who's dead, and my sincere sympathy goes to them, but it's a bigger picture, and it's about division with men and women as well, Oh, you looked at me that way. I'm going to report you to the police. You put your hand on my back as you hugged me for reassurance. That's a sexual offence. I'm going to report you to the police. This is a bigger picture and people can't see it. And these people who stand there with black folders shaking when they're accountable to the Scottish public, are instrumental in furthering this agenda, furthering it, and they've got the clout and the backup and the funding for the public. Now, I want to tell you just about a couple of things that you could keep an open mind to hear about connections. Now, this poor lad here, this one here, we'll get onto that one in a minute. This poor lad here, Lewis Edwards, this was Ashley Edwards, and it's downplayed in this article. He died in a swimming pool up at Rannoch, and I know about the incident. And I know that, they just got the police to cover it up. And the police actually it was just, oh, well, an accidental death in a swimming pool and things. Now, they says Ashley Edwards was a lawyer. Let's go and look at Ashley Edwards. There she's there, with the Sisterhood, Dorothy Bain and Ruth Charis. Ashley is currently employed full-time by Crown Office as Principal Crown Counsel and is not available for defence instructions. And there's the picture there, the three of them, the Sisterhood. Now, it was believed that Lewis, it was known that Lewis was on drugs. It was her only son, Ashley's son. And they went to this ranch up at, this holiday home thing in Rannoch. And he died in the swimming pool. Now you remember, these girlies have all been friends. Maybe Lewis has heard things, social things, or seen things in his home life. Was maybe ready to disclose a few things, and all of a sudden, Lewis is dead, Interesting, interesting, and people just get the black robe back on and the wig and get on with their daily life, Also as well, this interesting character, Paul McBride. Now, I've got the Faculty Advocates book, and he devilled many of them. He was a master in deviling, Paul McBride, and there was a lot of talk about his death. And interestingly, once again it happened at a holiday or a business event out with Scotland. The latest Scottish lawyer and QC, Paul McBride, he died suddenly while on a visit to Pakistan. And he was with Anwar, So it would be quite convenient just to get people out of the way and just get them out of the country. And you've got another system that maybe their criminal investigations aren't as good or thorough. And they just basically say they believe it was a heart condition. All of a sudden this heart condition came on. There was talk about what Paul McBride was involved with and things, and it was maybe easier to just have that heart condition in Pakistan if it was that, It's very, very, look, when these people are, going into their everyday business and people are going, hi, morning and that, and how are you and that, these people have got more faces in the town clock than they have to have for the trade that they're in, and they'll be sitting at social dinner parties and these events that I told you, and they will be saying, as they go, hi, morning, they want her out, there's a saying, about your enemies and your friends. So I'll just leave it there, people. It's a wee bit food for thought, but just remember that she says in Parliament she required moral decency. What moral decency has she done in her dual role in her career when she's basically done a lot of damage and a lot of bad things to people? and maybe this is now time for the time for her to be thrown under the bus.